Right here. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Amy Mitchell, Lady Amy Mitchell with Houses of Windsor. And this is Virtual Tea Time with Amy. And today my special guest is Holly from Dukeshire Farms. Hello, Holly.
Good morning.
Hi, thank you for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, this will be so much fun. So Holly, before we get things started, where are you calling from and what are you drinking?
I am calling from Alberta, Canada, in a little community in Wildwood, Alberta. And I am drinking because we were up late, and I am drinking coffee out of my hubby's grandmother's teacup.
I love it. That's awesome. I'm drinking, usually I have one of my fancy little teacups. Today I did my mug that's still for the Queen's coronation.
Oh, nice.
And I have tea in it. So I sort of have a coffee mug with tea in it. So we're just switched. But okay, so we met through BNI, which anyone who has watched probably just one episode of my show or talked to me for one conversation has heard me reference BNI because it comes up all the time. But you found me and on the little portal thing, and it was so much fun getting to know you on our first call. So I was like, well, you have to come on virtual tea time. And yeah, so I guess tell me a little bit about yourself. So I know, because I know obviously from our first talk, but now we have to share it with the world. So I know you're originally from a different part of Canada. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm from Nova Scotia in a little community called Clementsville. That's where I grew up. And it's close to Digby, about 20 minutes or so out of Digby, Nova Scotia, which is world famous for Digby scallops. But I actually went to high school in Annapolis Royal, which is the oldest settlement in Canada.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And you grew up on a farm, right?
Well, we had my grandparents, they have a lane in behind us. And so they had cows and chickens and stuff like that. But my dad had pigs and my brother had horses.
Oh,
yeah.
That's fun. And so, yeah, I guess to catch everyone up with what you do now and what you're in your BNI for is for Dukeshire Farms, right?
Yeah.
And how long, I forget, how long have you been doing that? When did you guys start the farm?
We started the farm, we established on our sign when you come in the driveway says 2015.
Okay.
I worked for Alberta Health Services in nutrition, and I didn't like the commute back and forth, not a winter driver, don't enjoy winter driving. And so after almost 18 years there, hubby said, why don't you retire, stay at home, do what you want to do, and be with the farm animals and make beauty products. So that's where I am.
That is so much fun. So so I'll put it in the caption, everything when I post this, but your website, is it dukeshirefarms.com?
Yeah.
Okay, because everyone should go and check out the cool stuff you have on there. And your furry hats are up on there too, right?
Yep, my furry hats.
I love those. Those are so fun. Okay, so in my show, I think I told you that we'll talk, we touch on business, but then we're going to just go outside of business. Now, I know that you do a lot of things within your business that you're very passionate about, but do you have anything that is not business related that like you're kind of obsessed with, or like a passion, a hobby? What's something that is like your thing that people know you for? Like my example is England and Christmas. People know me for being a Christmas nut as well.
My passion is, I love anybody that knows me. They usually see me wearing leopard. And even though I'm a farm girl, people see me places and say, oh, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm a farmer. And then they see me all dressed up like this and they're like, no, you're not a farmer. And I'm like, yeah. At home, I can be with no makeup, hair extra wild, more than it is today. And, wearing usually people laugh because when they come, I usually got leopard rubber boots on at the
Oh
farm.
my gosh, that's awesome.
And I enjoy karaoke. Like I got this big speaker that I got at Costco here in Canada. So hubby loves to tease me because I'll put that big speaker on the step and it's pointed towards the buffalo and I'll like be karaokeing the buffalo. And he's like, oh my God.
That is so funny. What? Now, how do the buffalo react to that?
They just stand there and kind of look at me.
Care.
And then down from the buffalo, we have emus. So then you see the emus running back and forth, and you're like, oh my God, they like my music.
That's hilarious. That's
never
so funny.
A dull moment here.
Yeah, I love it. And so I know I agree with everyone else who meets you. They're like, yeah, I wouldn't guess you to be a farmer, but and I've not met your hubby, but I know I mentioned to you when we met that I've thought of Green Acres, the old TV show Green Acres, and you said you guys had done that. Was that through your BNI group?
That was through our BNI group. Jim Taylor is in our group, and he come up with this kind of fun thing for our group to do. And it was on an evening, and he says, hey, let's do like a karaoke thing. And he says, you don't have to videotape, just do a karaoke thing, put it in the WhatsApp, and then we can all like have fun. Yeah. So hubby, like he's shy compared to me, but he come up with let's do the Green Acres theme song. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He knew the words, like all the words
already.
And
oh my gosh.
So I had to look at the TV screen and like kind of sing to it, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
That's so fun. So you guys, okay, so just so I know for my BNI group, if I were to suggest such a thing, so you say you just like shared it all within the group, it wasn't like during a meeting or anything, you just kind of
pre-recorded. No, we have a WhatsApp, and so all of us are in that WhatsApp, and Jim Taylor, one of the guys in our group, suggested that it would be a fun thing to do. And then another girl in the group, she brought her daughter, her and her daughter sang a Disney song. It was just so cute. So it was a fun thing to do within our group.
That's so fun. Now, did everyone participate, or were there some people that were too shy?
There was people that was too shy.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And I can't sing, but I love to have fun and laugh, so it didn't bother me none.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. So is your husband Canadian then? Where is he from?
So my future hubby.
I know you call me your hubby.
We're getting married the end of August, and he's actually from Saskatchewan. So
I was just curious because I didn't know the reach that the show Green Acres had. So I was just surprised since you said he knew all the words to it.
I know he did. He knew all the words, and I'm like, what? Okay, you need to put that on the screen because I don't know that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was like, I know it, but that's because we had a channel that was like Nickelodeon in the daytime, and then it was called Nick at Night in the evening, and they'd play like old shows like on reruns. So I watched like that, Gilligan's Island, I don't know, all of the older ones. So that's how I know it. But that's so fun. So then, okay, so leopard print, has this been a thing like forever, or like when, like, you know, as a kid have you loved prints, or did it come at a certain age? Was there something that started it?
I'm an 80s chick. Okay. So when I grew up, it was all like the Madonna phase and stuff like that with a million bracelets on. And I'd have the leopard spandexy pants with all the bracelets, and dyed my hair with peroxide. And
that's awesome.
It was a fun, awesome era to grow up on. Up in.
Right. That's hilarious. So, okay, so since you mentioned peroxide for your hair, I have questions about that. So I've never done that, but when I started to go blonde, I only trusted my hairstylist because I'd heard horror stories of friends who would do their own, and they would go and buy the salon grade or whatever, and their hair would start falling out because they left it on too long. So was peroxide a lot easier to use? You couldn't overdo it? Or what was the trick with using peroxide?
It didn't make my hair very nice.
No, okay. Does it just dry it out?
And then the frosted tip came out then, like, because it was the 80s, right? So
right.
I would get my cousins to like, oh my gosh, you got to do my hair, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, when you had that cap and you'd pull all them things
Oh, yes.
out, like it was so painful, right? And I remembered like, she'd have it on there. Well, Holly, we should take it off now. It looks pretty blonde. And I'm like, no, let's go blonder, right? And then it was like when she took it off, my hair looked like it was really blonde, but it was so dry and frazzled. It felt like a Brillo pack.
Oh my God. Oh no.
Yeah. So, and then we tried experiments with Kool-Aid. And
yeah. That's great. Yeah, when I was a kid, it's like we were told what was it? Oh, it was like the spray, like sun in, but also if you used like lemon juice and water, like I can't say that we ever noticed a difference in our hair.
Really? I tried the sun in and it would make my hair go orange because I would spray it in. Yeah. And then I would go like, you know, tanning was really back in then. So I'd lube up myself with baby oil, put the spray in, and then I would lay outside and then I would go in, I'd have orange hair. Like it would make
that's hilarious.
Would go orange.
It couldn't quite make it to blonde.
No.
Just as much as it went.
People are actually shocked because my hair like is almost naturally like black, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
And it was just like really when I was in my 30s when I said, I love the blonde. It's fun. It hides all my gray hairs. Like my mom was like white by the time she was like late 20s, 30.
Oh, wow. So
I just find it's fun to have and it really hides all my grays.
I love it. Well, it looks great on you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I definitely am like, I'll never go back to my natural hair color. So, which is like a dark brown. So yeah, I've been blonde roughly since like 2015 or something now. And then within the pandemic, I started playing with color with my blonde hair. So
no, I love it.
So someday I'll go back to blonde, but for now I'm still playing with colors.
No, it's fun, right?
Yeah. But so you mentioned that you worked in health and nutrition, right? But you also said that's what your daughter does, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So did she get that from you? Is that
I guess so. I was working there, I forget how many years. And then when she became the legal age to work, she put in a resume or whatever. And anyway, she got hired and she started off working the 4 o'clock shift. It was just 3.5 hours. She'd come in, and what her job was then, she would come in, and it was so nice that she got a chance to feed our residents in long-term care.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and with our family being so far away, it was so nice for her to, you know, interact with people that then she got to think of them as her family, her grandparents.
Right.
Or, you know, it was just
yeah. That's really sweet. That's nice. So my mom was a teacher, and growing up, I feel like, I don't know, I never thought I would be, I'll just say I never thought I was going to be a teacher like my mom. Like my mom was a teacher, my aunt was a teacher, my uncle was a teacher, and then a principal. It's like that's all anyone did. But I never especially knew what I was gonna do for when we had to. So in like 8th grade, they made us pick a career, which just seems ridiculous for like a career day thing. I picked photographer just randomly. It's like I didn't even have it as a hobby. I was like, I don't know, this sounds like the least boring of the choices. So I went from that to really enjoying Spanish. Now I guess I should say my mom was also a Spanish teacher.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I had a lot of fun in Spanish classes, like through high school and stuff with the other teachers, but my classmates. And so I almost I was gonna do it as a major and maybe be like a translator or something. And then as I got into it, I was like, oh, this was just like fun in like high school. This isn't as much fun now that I'm like not with my group of friends where we could like, you know, really play with it. So yeah, so basically I let the Spanish slide and I found my way into fashion. So I have a fashion degree instead.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so well, so wait, so did you go to school for like the health and nutrition stuff, or how did you get into
No,
that?
just took courses and stuff like that. I do have a tourism when I lived in Nova Scotia.
Oh yeah.
I did have a tourism diploma from Nova
Yeah.
Scotia. And anyway, and then I moved here and then I guess tried a couple different jobs and then I
Mhm.
applied for the hospital and I was there, yeah, almost 18 years.
Wow.
And honestly, I just loved it. I just loved
Yeah.
being around the residents.
Really? That's awesome. So really the only downside was the winter commute.
The
That
winter
was,
commute,
yeah.
once we moved away, it was like the winter commute because my schedule was so awesome. I worked 1 week on, 1 week off.
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, and the week on, of course, I was exhausted and looking forward to my week off,
Right.
but I did enjoy my job. And then with the farm and us keep getting more animals,
Right.
and then me starting my business, it was just like, okay, I can't do this and this and this and this,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's just like, and that's when he said, oh, why don't you just retire and stay home and do what you want to do? And it was just like,
Right.
yes.
That's so fun. And so you well I guess I know there's a story behind the name of your farm. So what's the story behind the name of your
So
farm?
my maiden name is Dukeshire, and my grandparents lived in a lane behind my mom and dad's house.
Mhm.
And I grew up learning so much stuff from my grandmother. Like she taught me how to crochet. She was right-handed, I'm left-handed.
Mhm.
So it took her forever to teach
Oh,
me, but I finally caught on. And I'm just so proud of my heritage and
yeah.
where I grew up. And my hubby just loved the last name Dukeshire. And
Yeah.
so when we was trying to think of what to name the farm, his little story was funny. He says, well, we should call it Dukeshire Farms. And I'm like, all teary-eyed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's so sweet. You make me want to cry, like wanting it to name it after my family.
Right.
And then he says, well, we should name it Dukeshire Farms because it reminds me of Hillshire Farms. And
That's a well-known name. So yeah, just
yeah, so and up in my ladies lounge, I keep my favorite picture of my grandparents up there.
oh,
So because they were an
oh,
inspiration to me. So
right. Oh, that's so
yeah.
sweet. That's awesome. And
Mhm.
so do you know, I know you have a lot of different animals. Do you know, like, is there a head count? How many animals you have out there?
Not really. Baby goats were born yesterday. I wish
Oh,
I'll have to send you a picture.
yeah,
It's
yes.
like this big and it looks like a little baby deer. It is so
Oh
cute.
my gosh, that's awesome.
And then we had 5 baby buffalo born, and yeah.
Oh wow. That's
So
really
and
cool.
then we were waiting on emus, but I don't know, keeping our fingers crossed that some
Oh,
will
okay.
hatch. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So the emus are like do they have to like sit on it like a chicken? Like
Yeah, well, yeah. So what happens is of course, the mama lays the egg, and then
right.
she just like abandons it, and then daddy takes over, and he'll sit on that egg for like 55 to 58 days, and
Wow. Okay.
he's so nice. Then, like, he's like, oh, you're such a nice, he's such a nice
Yeah.
bird, and you go in, but you have to usually see if he wants water and food because he
Yeah.
won't get up that often. He won't really leave the
Right.
egg. And then when he leaves when the egg hatches, he like turns into this psycho bird.
Oh my God.
And it's just because he's being an overprotective dad.
Oh, okay, okay. That's hilarious. Oh
So
my God.
I won't go in then because like hubby has to show him like who the alpha is,
Right,
and
right.
I'm like 5 foot nothing with my hair like this. So I don't go in once the babies are born
Oh
until they get
wow.
a little bit older, and then
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
back
Oh,
in. But
that's really interesting. And what's the, I guess, like behavior like of the buffalo? Are they like, do you have to kind of stay away from them or Like, are
So
they
our neighbors, like, they have like hundreds and hundreds of buffalo, and we just had a small group of like 10, and which we're trying to grow the herd, but we wanted to get a variety of different animals to have here at the farm.
Right.
So when people come to visit us, they're like baffled because we interact with our animals like every day. And so we name them. I know they say not to name them because you don't want to eat them when you name them.
Right. Yeah.
But one of our big males, I call him Big Papa because he is just massive.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the fence and I'll yell, Big Papa.
Oh my gosh.
And he usually, especially if they see you coming, they love artisan bread. And so if they see you with bread, they're like, coming.
That's hilarious.
So everybody that comes to the farm, they're like, because I've always talked about the animals and stuff. Yeah. So they're like, can we feed the buffalo? And so anyway, we always have artisan bread and stuff on hand. So it's nice. We got families, different families that come, and the little tiny kids holding their bread out, waiting for the buffalo to come. It's just so cute.
That's really, really cute. Because what's like the weight, like what's the average size of a buffalo, like weight wise?
Over 1,000 pounds, right?
Okay, that's
I have to laugh because when we first got the buffalo, I says, I can't wait for babies, like, so I can pick it up. And hubby looks at me like, you can't pick that up. That's 100 and some pounds.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I want to see pictures of all these babies. Are they on your Facebook yet or not? Because they just
I don't know if I posted. I not the baby goat that was born a couple days ago. I didn't put a new picture of that yet, but I think I did put some pictures of the baby buffalo.
Okay, so I'll have to go look for those. That's awesome. And then am I remembering correct that when I told you that I always ask about aliens and ghosts, did you say that you have a lot of those?
Well, I grew up on the East Coast. Okay. So the East Coast, they have, especially in Annapolis Royal, they have like ghost tours and stuff like that. But my experience was me and my girlfriend went to New Orleans and we stayed in the French Quarter and we was there for 10 days. And I forget the name of the place we stayed at, but on the third night, we would be woken up at like 2:00 in the morning. And we'd hear all this stuff running by our door. It was crazy. So I thought, and it sounded like people were partying or whatever, right? And we thought, okay, we're in the French Quarter. They must be partying, right? Right. So by the third day of this happening, because it would like wake us up 2 nights in a row. Yeah. So by the third night of this happening, I went down and I talked to the lady at the desk and I says, woo, we got some partiers in this hotel or whatever, right? And she says, what? And I says, yeah, I says for 2 nights in a row, like they woke me up, like, you know, it's crazy. They're running by the door and it's such a loud noise. And she said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's nobody like been partying. And then my hair starts to stand up on my arm and I'm like, what? And anyway, I says, really? And she says, no. She says, this place is known to be haunted. And I'm like, oh, wow. Right. And it was troops or something. She was telling me that if you hear them like running in the hallways, other people has documented it too. Yeah. And I'm like, wow.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
But we had so much fun. Like, I recommend anybody to go to New Orleans, especially the French Quarter. Like, we had such an amazing time on ghost tours, and I love that kind of stuff. So it was fun.
That is fun. So did you have more nights to stay there after you found out that they were ghosts?
Yeah, and it seemed to, like, it was quiet for a few days, and then we heard some more noises, but honestly, once I knew that I wasn't just crazy, and then if I wake up, I'm just like, oh, whatever, the ghosts are running by or whatever.
Oh, that's hilarious. It doesn't freak you out. That's awesome.
It didn't freak me out. I'm like, I'm tired. I gotta go back to sleep.
That's hilarious. So if you had, like, let's see. So I've noticed that as far as like the, Britain versus the US, when it comes to ghost stories, it seems that all the like so many ghost stories for, we'll say, the American ghost are usually you know, malevolent or just not, you know, usually not good things. And I feel like all the British ghosts you hear about, it's like, oh yeah, you'll just like see them walking by, like they don't mess with you, right? So I'm curious, so what is the ghost culture of Canada?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Like there's just so much, especially in Nova Scotia, right? Like there's a mansion in Nova Scotia that's a bed and breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and these mediums, now I can't remember their names. They stayed there for like 3 or 4 days,
Oh yeah.
and documented like all the ghosts that was in this place. And I had stayed actually at this place a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second night, I woke up and you could hear like people walking across the floor, doors opening and closing. And
Oh
like the
wow.
kids would wake up and they're like, Mom, what's happening? And like, anyway, it got to the point like my hair was just
Oh
standing and
yeah.
like the kids were freaking out. So I said, okay, let's go sleep in the truck.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
but there's always somebody's always telling you ghost stories. Like people in the community where I grew up in a little town of
Mm-hmm.
Clemensvale,
Yeah.
there's so many people can tell you different stories of different
Really?
things that has
Yeah.
happened in their houses. Yeah, it's quite fascinating.
That's really interesting. And so when people are sharing those stories, like does everyone listening, are they pretty much like they just believe it? They're like, yeah, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like I have my own stuff at my house, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Dude.
yeah. And
Yeah.
everybody, yeah, they're just like, oh wow, right?
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I just find stuff like that fascinating. So
Oh yeah, I do too. That's why I love hearing the stories because it's also, you know, it's like with the states we're still so young that
yeah,
that it's like we don't have, which I find it interesting that yeah, like the ghosts we have apparently are always angry, they're always upset, whatever. They're always trying to do something to mess with everyone.
well,
But
in Nova
yeah,
Scotia, they get right into theme. They dress right up when they and yeah, it's on like later evenings. They do the
yeah.
ghost walk,
Oh yeah.
and they dress right up in costume and everything. Take around old lanterns,
Oh,
and
that's
then
fun.
walk around to the old cemeteries and whatever. It's really cool.
That is really fun. Yeah, I don't have any like actual ghost stories, but I did go on the best ghost tour I've ever been on was in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh
So
wow.
that one was really cool because they have an underground there that's not like the London Underground. It's not a train system or a subway system. It's just underground tunnels, like old tunnels that they used to, you know, walk through and do stuff. But really what's crazy, so the have you been to Edinburgh, Scotland before? I should
I
ask
wish,
that.
but no.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I just didn't want to like say all this if you're like, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
no.
But so there's the streets there are all like stone, you know, and the underground that they built are like under the town of the shops and everything. So I guess the idea of it was that everyone, like with the shops and stuff, it was like storage, right? Like they just keep stuff down in the basement essentially. But they didn't account for the fact that the stone was so like porous. So when it would rain, which it's like constantly wet there, it got really gross like down in the underground. So they couldn't really use it all that well for storage. So I don't know. I do not recall what like time period they told us this, but they said there was a time where basically the homeless, like they'd be forced off the street and down in the underground at nighttime. You weren't allowed to be up on the streets at nighttime. But they said like it was the poorest of the poor. They said if you could afford a match, you would could afford to not be down there. So like everyone that's down there is in like pitch black, and it's like not a safe place as you could probably
Wow.
imagine. But so they had the ghost tour was down there because essentially I'm pretty sure like a lot of ghost stories there was something happen where there was like a fire, a bunch of them were trapped, you know, underground. So there's like all these spirits and stuff that are, you know, not resting well. So yeah, so they took us down there, and it was creepy, and they of course told us like the perfect story to prime us before they turned the lights out on us. So
Oh gosh.
I know they told us about another tour group that they brought down there, and it was like a mom, and they didn't say how old the kid was, but the kid must not have been that young I would hope not, was not that young to be on that tour. But the kid was holding his mom's hand, and they were going to do what they did to us, where they turned the lights out for a little bit, just so you can feel what it would have been like to be down there in the dark back then.
Okay.
And so when they turned the light back on, this kid's over in like the opposite corner of the room, and they both said they never let go of each other's hands. So they're like, how did that happen? So they of course tell us this whole story, and they're like, okay, now we're gonna turn out the lights here. So it's like, so my friend and I, because I was over there studying abroad, so my friend and I that went, Christina, we were like holding arms like so tight when they turned the lights out.
I imagine.
Yeah. But so nothing happened in our group, but they had in the lobby of this place, they had all these pictures and letters where people had like written in or sent pictures after their ghost tour, where they had found like scratch marks, whatever, like marks on them, and they sent it in as like, hey, like something was near me. On the tour.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the creepiest one, but and the best one. But I say, so I've started watching more like ghosty shows and stuff since then, and I learned, according to a lot of them, it's like, well, if you don't know what you're doing, which is most of us, like you can easily become possessed, right? So like if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, like you know, something might latch onto you. So after I learned that, you know, tidbit, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky I didn't end up possessed on that tour. Like I could have brought back like an evil Scottish spirit. But yeah, so that's, I just have fun with that. But yeah, do you have any, I guess being out in the farmland, that's would make me think aliens. Got any alien stuff going on out there?
Well, hubby loves, I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called Darkness Radio.
What's
So
that?
you'll have to Google it. So he loves to put like podcasts on when we're laying in bed.
Yeah.
And you pick like, and it'll talk about different like ghost stories like all around the world.
Oh, cool.
And so anyway, we're in the farm and we're at a dead end of a road.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and then we listen to all these ghost stories. So he'll fall asleep, right? And then I'll still be listening to this and I'll be like kind of freaked out then, right? So one night, I have to tell you, so one night it was the children of the dark or something. I can't remember what the podcast was about, but it was something like that. So anyway, I fell back asleep. And so then I woke up probably about 7:00 and it was in the wintertime. So it was still dark here.
Yeah.
So I looked over, hubby had left because he had to go into town to do stuff. And it's like pitch black out. And then I go to turn on the lights and there's no power. And I'm like, no power. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I called my hubby and I said, hey, like, there's no power here. And like, what do I just walk out to the pole, flick the thing? And he says, oh yeah, just walk out and flick the thing and it should come back on. Maybe if the power went out, like it needs to be flicked, right? So anyway, before he hangs up for me, he says, do you remember we was listening to the Children of the Dark last night? And I'm like, freaked right out because it's pitch black out and I have to walk out across the yard to go flick the switch. And I'm like, you're such an arse.
It's like, thanks for reminding me in this moment.
Yeah, but anyway, so that was my little.
That's hilarious. Well, I'll have to look. So that's a podcast then, Darkness Radio?
Yeah, Darkness Radio. And honestly, you'll enjoy it. You get to pick, like there'll be a long list and then you can just pick which story you want to listen to, but it's got some really cool stories on there.
That's awesome. I'll have to listen to that because I'm definitely a podcast person and I haven't had a good I guess, like spooky, scary one that I found in a while. Most of them I listen to are comedy. So
Yeah, and it'll tell you like before like the podcast starts, it'll say
yeah.
this one is based on a true story out of Nova Scotia, or
Oh,
this one is based on a true story based out of London.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be fun. We'll have to look at that. So since I started this show, gosh, like over a year now, which is just crazy. But and when I started asking this question of the ghost and the aliens, so I have come up with a working theory that only one person has not who has gone against it, or I should say their stories went against it, was that I find that people are either ghost leaning or alien leaning. So that like so for example, for myself, I don't say that aliens don't exist. I don't care. They probably do. They don't interest me. They don't scare me.
No.
I'm way more interested in the ghost stuff. And I have a friend who he's more interested in alien stuff. And so when sort of I was coming up with this theory, we were talking about something that happened in a movie. And if you didn't know what the movie was supposed to be about, you could go either way with it of like, did a ghost do this, or is this something aliens did? Like, setting things weird in the kitchen. And so I was just saying, so it was technically an alien movie. So I knew that, but I was like, if I didn't know this was aliens, I would have thought that was a ghost for sure. Like, but my friend Kyle, he's like, no, I would automatically assume it was aliens. So I like to try and ask people which way they lean if they were to run into something like that.
I definitely lean more to ghost.
Lean more to ghost. Okay, that's good. Yeah, same here. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's one woman in London who is the owner of the English cream tea company, and Jane is, and she's. I'm trying to think. She's not in BNI, but someone in a London BNI connected us, so that's how I know her. But she told me she has alien stories and ghost stories, and like she's got an alien one from when she was like a teenager type deal, where like she and her friends saw it like when they were, I don't know, kind of like, it sounded like a boarding school type deal. And then years and years later as an adult, she essentially saw like the exact same thing in the sky, like somewhere else. And I was like, well, that's pretty wild. You don't usually hear people say that they saw like the exact same UFO, like, 30 years apart or whatever. Yeah. But, and then they lived in an old, like everything is old in England. So in their house, it was old, and they heard a lot of stuff. There's just a lot of stomping and just different noises going on. And so they eventually had the house like cleansed and sort of like made a deal with the ghost, basically saying like, look, we know this is your home, but like when like we'll only do things to it that like we think you'll like, that kind of deal. And she said they never had issues again.
Oh wow.
Like calm down. Yeah.
I should quickly tell you about the lady in the window. So I called it the lady in the window. So when I was growing up, my grandparents lived it's Dukeshire Lane. So it's a lane past my mom and dad's house into where my grandparents' homestead is. So anyway, as children growing up, me and my cousins, we were very close, and we're still close. Yeah. So once in a while, they had this kind of, it was just a small house, and this window kind of at this peak at the top of the house. Yeah. So once in a while, we would see this lady in the window, and it was kind of hard to make her out. It looks like she was sitting in a rocking chair, and we're like, it was just hard to make her out. So once in a while, we would see this lady, and we would tell Graham, well, was there somebody upstairs? And she would go, no, why? Well, I'm sure I seen somebody up there, right? So this went on for, a while, and me and my cousins always called her the lady in the window. Yeah. So years later, I was looking at some pictures with my auntie, and anyway, she was going through some old pictures of like grandmothers, great grandmothers, whatever, right? Yeah. So anyway, she comes across this picture, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like tearing up and my hairs on my arm are
Yeah.
standing. And she said, what is it, Holly? And I said, oh my God, it's the lady in the window. And it just creeped me out. I mean,
wow.
it was my, apparently, I think great maybe.
That's what I was gonna ask that. Oh
Yeah, grandmother. And it was just like, oh wow. After all these years, we figured out who the lady in the window was.
Oh my goodness. That's wild. And there was someone in your family.
It's somebody in her family. And I have the picture, like I have the picture, and like sometimes it kind of just scare me a little bit when I look at it, because I'm like, for years I would see this lady in the window.
Right. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a good one. That's a good ghost story. That's awesome.
So yeah, no, I've seen some things. So it's sometimes it takes people, some people say, oh, I don't believe or whatever. I'll have to see it to believe it. But I've seen a few things. So yeah, I'm definitely a believer.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything really specifically, but I believe it anyway. So, like I said, I believe in the aliens too. Whatever, I don't know what, shape or form they come in, but I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like the aliens can do their own thing. I think the ghosts are way more interesting.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. I usually like to ask, is there anything else that you would like to talk about, or any final words? Anything I didn't ask you?
I'm just so glad that I found you. Like it was just going through the thing and you popped out to me, because I told you before, my mom loved the Royals. And my mom passed away a couple of years ago now, and like she kept like all this stuff on the Royals. And when I seen this, like seen your name under your thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get in contact with this lady and do a one-to-one. So I'm so happy I did.
Yes, I'm so happy you did too. Yeah, that's awesome. I always love, hearing about other royalists, other royal fans.
I have to ask you, did you get the picture taken in the back there in the blue dress? Was that I see, so last week when I'm scrolling through my Facebook, this ad come up and it was like, make yourself royal.
Yep. It's establishedtitles.com.
Oh, okay.
So you could put your own face on that very dress. So they have all the pictures, like the portraits, the outfits, like the pose, all of that is already done. You send them a picture of your face, and that's like roughly pointed in the same direction, so that they can, work with it and your head's not like backwards. and then they like put it into the painting or the print, so that it looks, and I know like from here it's like far away or over here, but it's like it does look, I mean, it looks like they painted it.
Yeah, exactly.
With me in the dress. So it's pretty fun. But no, you can do that, and you can also buy yourself a ladyship or a lordship title, as I have, and that's that's the one that's, let's see, that's establishedtitles.com. That's where you buy.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
Lady Dukeshire.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you were made to be a lady with that name. That's awesome. So I'll put it in here too. But establishedtitles.com for to buy your title, and then the painting is turnmeroyal.com.
Okay, that is so cool.
Yeah, so I had a very royal Christmas this past year. I asked for those things from my parents. So
awesome.
That's what I got.
So what did it cost to get the title?
Oh, it's not a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like less than $100. It's you essentially are buying a souvenir plot of land in Scotland, which is what gives you, so it's let's see. So basically it goes towards like the conservation of this giant like area of land. So like they will never build or do anything on it. But you do have technically, on my little certificate that's back there, it's like you've got a number, like a plot number, and it says you're allowed to visit it. So I have my print, but it's like a 5-foot by 1-foot plot.
Is it the one that's above you in the blue dress?
Yeah. That's they send you like the little certificate thing. And I had the printer in my group printed up on some like fancy paper so I could hang it up. But
that's so cool. I have to do that.
Yes, you should. So like whenever I get to go back to England, COVID wise, my friend Claire, who lives there, she's like, we have to take a trip to Scotland and go visit your land. I was like, we'll bring like 2 lawn chairs, and that's like all that will fit in this space.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's very funny. Yeah. And it's been super fun that, when I like started just throwing it in front of my name on things like Zoom and wherever, they're like, everyone's picked up on it. So now I just like totally embrace it. But, and BNI, they all refer to me as Lady Amy. Like no one wants to call me Amy anymore. And apparently, so I'm part of the British American Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida. And we had an event the other night, and someone I invited as a visitor got there before me because I was running late. Surprise, surprise. And for those who know me. And, so I guess when she got there, she was like, yeah, I'm a guest of like Amy Mitchell. And they're like, oh, you mean Lady Amy Mitchell? Made a big deal about it.
That's awesome.
I know. It's very, very fun. So I highly encourage you to get a title. It's super fun.
Do you have a tiara?
Yeah, right, I know. I need to get a tiara. I have lots of fascinators, but I need a tiara. You're right.
I would so like to, when I get my spare time here, I would so like to make you a fascinator, but I wanted to put emu feathers in it. I thought that would be so cool.
That would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, whenever you get your spare time,
Yes.
Maybe after the wedding, I don't know. Then I'm sure you'll have lots of time. Yeah. Are you guys doing a honeymoon or anything special?
No. We got so much to do around the farm. I imagine maybe we'll just, because we're close to Jasper, right? So maybe we can go down, and because it's only maybe an hour and a half or so away.
Oh, okay. What's in Jasper?
It's Jasper National Park. So the mountains.
Oh, okay.
And it's just kind of nice to go there.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds nice then. Yeah. Well,
so with the farm, it's hard to get away, not unless I can convince my daughter, hey, can you look after the farm for a few days?
Right. Yeah, I could only imagine. I believe I told you that my brother and his wife started a farm in Indiana a few years ago, and theirs does not involve animals. So even though, yes, it still needs to be tended to, it's not like an animal neglect if they leave it alone for a couple days.
Because you never know what's going to happen. Like, you can plan your day out, and then you'll be, ready to go to town or whatever. And then you see a buffalo walk across the yard, and you're like, oh no, we got to get the buffalo in. So we just grab some artisan bread, hubby does, and then he just walks, and the buffalo follows him. And
oh my gosh. That is so funny. So do you just buy the bread, or like they
we usually like have it because they love it, right? And they love like the big loaves, and they love rosemary, and
that's so funny.
It's so funny. And all the animals actually really love bread. Like the pigs go nuts, and it's never a dull moment here. One day one of the pigs got out, and hubby wasn't home. And I heard something on the deck, and I'm like, okay, the dogs are up on the deck, right?
Yeah.
So I go to the patio door, swing the curtain back, and there's a buffalo and a pig there eating dog food.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the buffalo's on the deck? Like, oh my goodness, is your deck that strong to support?
It's pretty low, like the deck is pretty low to the ground,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so yeah, it's just like, and anyway, our dog food is very expensive,
Oh
so
no.
I'm fighting with like a 400 and some pound pig. You're not eating that dog food.
Hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound pretty fun. Yeah. Open the crate into a buffalo and a pig. You're like, oh
Yeah.
wow. Well, that's really, really fun. Well, I definitely want to stay in touch, for sure. And thank you so much for doing this. And I want to send you some tea as well. So I'll text you to get your mailing address and all of that. But I'll put your information in the caption when I put it up online. But is there anything? So I know that's dukeshirefarms.com. Is there any other way you want people to reach out to you if they've got questions or whatever, if they want to contact you?
If they got questions, on the website, there's an
Yeah.
email, and they can email me. My phone number is there, anything.
Okay.
And we do custom stuff too. So it's a lot of, he does the freeze dried candies, which are
Oh,
selling
great.
like crazy right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do. I love to laugh. So people go on the site, like I got one side that it's my funny stuff. So I
Uh-huh.
put funny sayings and stuff on soaps, and yeah.
Yes, you're very, very creative. I love, yeah. I remember you were like showing me stuff when we had our call the other day. And yeah, I love the cool like soaps and just different things that you've created for, it was like the bridal one, right? Where it's
Mhm.
like dresses and all kinds of crazy shapes. So
Yeah,
that was really
exactly,
cool.
exactly. I like to kind of stand out. There's a lot of people that make bath bombs and soaps and
Right.
stuff like that, and I just kind of wanted to stand out and put my own unique mark on them.
Yes, yeah. And you did, and they're awesome. They're
Oh,
so
thank
cool.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. And thank you everyone for watching in the future once this gets posted. And we will see you all next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.